Jim, Deneau, Thomas, Grunstrom, what's the plan for tonight?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? I don't know exactly as far as who's
Fill
playing.
in.
What's that?
Phil in?
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah,
Okay, Akil?
we'll see. I'm not giving you a lot here. This is a
We'll try again.
this is a we'll see game. This is a we'll see tonight. We could
Carl?
we'll see.
Okay.
No, Carl.
Will Carl be activated?
No, Carl will not be playing tonight. That one I'll give you.
Okay.
With the travel of this trip, does it almost feel like this is the extension of a road trip as opposed to being home without really having that day to kind of recuperate?
I don't think so. I think the day off in between, everybody got out and had a beautiful day. So people were. I ran into a couple of players with their wives down on the Strand, going for a walk and stuff like that. So I think that day in between allows you just to get resettled. But it's coming at us quick. There's no question, being that it was only one day.
Is there a thread in the three losses that was one of the, like a major cause for the losses, or were they three separate types of losses?
No, I thought they were. I mean, the Calgary game was not a good game. We talked about that. So you look at, I almost throw that one out the window. The threat in that one was we took 6 penalties. That's ridiculous. But the Edmonton game and the Winnipeg game were definitely different games. Those were close, hard-fought games that we came up short on. So that would be the difference. Those two were similar, and I can't tell you specifically, why we didn't win. The Calgary game, no good.
What's the conversation with these guys right now? What do you want them to focus on, not only on tonight, but these next eight games?
Well, it's been, it's probably the same conversation as we've had, I would say since we came back from the All-Star break, and that's, we have to play to our identity, and when we do, we're a really hard team to play against. And when you don't, Calgary game, then we're not hard to play against, and you get bad results guaranteed. So we feel good. We're back home. We've played really well at home since the break. So there's nothing too specific. We don't change the message that much. We just know if we do what we do very well, then we're a very hard team to beat.
Cam back in net.
We'll see tonight. I can't give you an answer after I pushed Dennis out for 3. You got 2 more questions. The third one you might ask for 2 more.
Well then.
No, we'll see tonight.
But back-to-backs, it's gonna be one or the other, correct? One guy's not
very
gonna play.
likely, yeah, very likely. I'd never commit 100% to that, but that's
Okay, that's been the plan.
yeah.
Jim, if just general, and you may have touched on it already, but when you hear the phrase of the term "play smart," what comes to mind for you?
Well, you have to make, when you're on the ice and you have a shift, you probably are making in 45 seconds 20, 30 decisions. Most of them are without the puck because you don't have the puck very long. The other ones are your teammates got the puck, you got to make a decision, and there's times when you have the puck. So in any of those certain areas, you can make a decision that's a poor decision. Doesn't always show up against you or a goal against, but it puts your team in stress. So when you make good decisions, you're helping your teammates out. They make good decisions, we get together, usually it's going to go better for you. But it doesn't always show up, but you have to make decisions, and the decisions are all based on probability too. There's very few things that are black and white, and that's the beauty of the game. You have to read and react and understand, and it's hard sometimes, especially the way the speed of the game is these days. But all those times you're on the ice, you are constantly evaluating situations and making decisions, and they have consequences.
Is it different, Jim, watching from behind the bench? You're an ex-player. I find myself sometimes going, there's no time at all with them.
Well, it's funny, Blakey and I were talking about that this morning. The players nowadays are so skilled. You sit there and watch them in practice. Every team, the players are immensely skilled and way more than they've ever been in the league, or more so on a whole than they've been. But because there's no time and space, it's very difficult for them to showcase those skills individually. You don't have the puck much, and when you do, somebody's in your face. So you get very few moments now to use your skills, and that's why all these points, these decisions that you were talking about, they become even more important, because that's becomes part of your game. It's not just the time with the puck.
I've heard your explanation on some shifts you just have to tie. Is that part of what you're saying there?
Yeah, that's it, and lots of shifts. You know what I mean? You can go out and you can influence the game very quickly, good or bad. It's a lot easier to influence it in a bad way than in a good way. Just the nature of the game right now. And so you have to understand that, accept that, and wait your opportunity. When your opportunity, then you got to strike. That's when you get to use your skill and strike and create the advantages for the team.
Jim, you look at the forecheck the last few games, has it been as tenacious and heavy as you'd like to see it?
No, it hasn't. I think that's one area. You know, there's been times, there's been moments. We find that when our forecheck's good, where our ozone play is good, and you know, you don't always score, but you're spending time in the other team's zone. It happens to us on the other side. Even when you're defending, it's just you're tiring yourself out, and it's not a good feeling on the bench. So when the forecheck's going, you're putting pressure, you're feeling good, and there's definitely momentum in a forecheck.
What kind of a lift in a game does it give you when it's someone other than your big guns scoring?
Well,
You know, when you get a goal from someone other than Juice, Kobe, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah.
Is there an extra?
There
yeah.
probably is an extra element, I think, to that, because you know players always appreciate. You know, some of the players don't get as much ice time as other players, but they're playing and out there doing all these things because they're good players, and they're maybe penalty killers or physical players. So to see them rewarded with goals, which is the natural reward, you know, in the game, I think probably gives guys a little extra boost. Guys are happy for those players. I think that's the biggest part, is the teammates are really, really happy when the guys who go do all the work maybe don't get as much of the glory or the media time. When they score, guys just really, I think, feel good for those guys because
Is
they
there-
understand the work that they put in.
Yeah. Do you see a correlation with it in game? You know,
Yeah, I don't know.
Or
I
so,
couldn't
or-
say that.
yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say that necessarily. I just think, you know, it's a
Yeah.
good feeling for everybody when you see players who work so hard get rewarded.
Thoughts on the Kraken at this point in the season, them being well out of the playoffs?
Yeah, well, they're a hard team to play. I remember the last game here, we had, I think, 19, 20 shots in goal in the first period. We didn't have one scoring chance out of the 20 shots. So they make it hard on you. They box out really well. Their D are strong. You've really got to work to get to the net against them. And that's been every game we've played them, I think, despite that one crazy game, the 9-8 game. Every other game is very, very tight against them.